I'm an 8th grader named Jasmine, clearly, and I'm going to be using this U.S. history app to be able to study and prepare for a test in Mr. Luthy's class. I've never used this app before, so I'm going to go down and I'm going to click Create New Account. Once I click on that, it brings up Create Account. From there, I'll be able to click on email. Since this is a simulation, it'll automatically populate. First name, last name, create my own password. And then, according to the first task, I'm supposed to select the teacher's name from the list. So once I'm able to click that and click submit, I'm able to complete my first task, which is to create that account. Now, my second task is to be able to find facts about George Washington. And since George Washington's a person, I'm going to click people, be able to identify where he's at on the people screen, so I can either scroll down and find George Washington, or I can click on search and then click George Washington from that route as well. From here, I can see that I have 3 different options. I've got facts, game, and quiz option. Because the first task is to do facts, I'm going to click on facts, which will then bring up 5 different facts about George Washington. Second task is to be able to identify and take the game. So because I have game listed at the bottom of the facts page, I can click on game. It says matching. First choose the event and then choose the year that the event took place. I'm going to click on next, and this will bring me 2 different columns, one for event and one for year. I can click on events. So this is when George Washington died. Well, I got to remember what year that was. Maybe I can't remember exactly. Oh, 1789. No, that's not it. So I'll try again until I can find the correct year. He died in 1799. Notice that the options have disappeared, and now I only have 4 options remaining. I can then click, okay, he's elected. I remember seeing that from before. I remember that it was 1789. And then the last one's pretty obvious as well, married, and that was in 1759. Once I'm able to complete that third task of taking and playing the game, I have the option to either replay the game, which gives me the same exact format again, review the facts if I messed up on anything and wanted to review, or I can take the quiz. My fourth task is to take a quiz on George Washington. So I'm going to go ahead and click on quiz. We're going to choose the correct answer as quickly as possible. I'm going to click on next, which brings me up my quiz. Now notice I've got a timer at the very top, I've got the questions, and then I've got 4 different options here. Because I know that George married Martha Custis, not Martha Stewart, I'll be able to click on Martha Custis. Then I move on to my next question. Notice it took me about 10 seconds to answer that one, so that automatically updated. And then I'm able to click on constitutional, because that's the convention that George Washington presided over. And then maybe I'm having a hard time remembering what George Washington was commander-in-chief over. So maybe I'm just going to click the French army for whatever reason. Now notice I've got 2 out of 3 questions correct. This gives me my automatic feedback within about 20 seconds. My 5th task is to report my score to my teacher. Now I can either choose to retake if I'm not comfortable with that answer, or I can just straight up report it. I'm going to go ahead and retake it because that's just not good enough. So I'm going to hit retake. Again, I've got the same exact directions. Click next. Notice that I've got a completely different quiz this time. Still got the timer, still got quiz, still got 4 different options. This time it asked me what state George Washington died in. And that was Virginia. And what year was George Washington elected president? I know that was in 1789. And then I also know that George Washington was commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Army. Hey, check that. I got 3 out of 3 this time, 25 seconds. Now I can report my score to my teacher, which is my 5th and final task. Now, just for my gee whiz, because I'm competitive, I would like to view and see how I did to my other teammates and classmates. So once I click on view, it gives me my standings for Mr. Luthy's class, and has all the different listings, numbers of correct, and the time complete.